The air in the apartment felt heavy, like it had been holding its breath too long, as I stood frozen in the doorway, clutching the crumpled note I'd found tucked inside her coat pocket. The ink bled slightly where my thumb pressed too hard, smudging the words, "Meet me tonight, same place, same time." No name, no context, just a stranger's handwriting that wasn't mine. My chest tightened, a dull ache spreading like a bruise, but I told myself it was nothing, just a misunderstanding, a colleague's scrawl, a forgotten errand. Yet the weight of that paper burned in my hand, and the silence of our home screamed louder than any explanation could. Lila wasn't back yet. The clock above the kitchen counter ticked past 9 p.m., each second a needle pricking at my resolve. The living room, usually warm with the glow of her mismatched thrift store lamps, felt sterile tonight, the light casting long shadows across the hardwood. Her scarf lay draped over the couch, a soft green thread trailing like an afterthought. I traced its frayed edge, remembering how she'd laughed when I bought it for her birthday, calling it adorably impractical. That memory stung now, a splinter of doubt lodging deeper. Why hadn't she mentioned staying late? Why was her phone off? I sank into the couch, the note still in my fist, and tried to piece together the evening. We'd been fine this morning, hadn't we? She'd kissed me goodbye, her lips brushing mine with that familiar warmth, though her eyes had darted away, distracted. I'd chalked it up to her deadline at the gallery, the stress of curating her first solo exhibit. But now, replaying it, her smile felt rehearsed, her touch too brief. My mind churned, cycling through every moment of the past month, her late nights, her vague excuses, the way she'd started locking her phone. Each fragment felt like a breadcrumb leading somewhere I didn't want to go. The door clicked open at 10:17 p.m. Lila stepped inside, her cheeks flushed from the autumn chill, her dark hair spilling loose from its bun. She froze when she saw me, her smile faltering for a split second before she recovered. "Hey, you're still up?" she said, her voice light but strained, like a string stretched too tight. She kicked off her boots, the thud echoing in the quiet, and crossed to the kitchen without meeting my eyes. "Where were you?" My words came out sharper than I meant, slicing through the air. I held up the note, my hand trembling slightly. "Found this in your coat." Her eyes flicked to the paper, and for a moment, something raw, panic, maybe, flashed across her face. Then it was gone, replaced by a laugh that sounded like breaking glass. "What? You're playing detective now." "It's nothing, Ben. Just a note from Claire about the exhibit." She turned to fill a glass with water, her movements too deliberate, her shoulders rigid. "Claire doesn't write like that," I said, my voice low, steady, though my heart pounded. "And you didn't answer my question. Where were you?" She set the glass down hard, water sloshing over the rim. "God, Ben, can you not make everything a crisis? I was at the gallery, working. You know how much this means to me." Her tone carried a familiar edge, the one she used when she thought I was being too soft, too clingy. It stung, but I pressed on. "Your phone was off. You didn't text. And this—" I shook the note, my voice rising despite myself. "This isn't Claire's handwriting. Don't lie to me, Lila." Her eyes narrowed, and she crossed her arms, leaning against the counter. "You're being ridiculous. You always do this, blowing things out of proportion. Maybe if you weren't so fragile, you wouldn't see betrayal in every corner." The word fragile landed like a slap, her mockery cutting deeper than any accusation. I'd always been the one to feel too much, to care too deeply, and she wielded that like a weapon now. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but something in her defiance, the way her lips curled, the way she looked at me like I was small, made me pause. I thought of the late-night calls she'd taken in the other room, the way her laughter had sounded different lately, brighter with someone else. My stomach churned, but I forced myself to stay calm. "If it's nothing," I said, "show me your phone." Her jaw tightened, and for a moment I thought she'd refuse. Then she shrugged, pulling her phone from her bag and tossing it onto the counter. "Fine. Go ahead. Make yourself miserable." I hesitated, my fingers hovering over the screen. This was a line. Once crossed, there was no going back. But the weight of that note, the sting of her words, pushed me forward. I unlocked her phone, her passcode unchanged from the one we'd shared years ago. The Messages app glowed in the dim light, and there it was, a thread with a name I didn't recognize. Evan. My throat closed as I scrolled, each message a dagger. Missed you last night. Can't wait to see you again. Don't tell him yet. The room spun. I looked up at her, my voice barely a whisper. Who's Evan? Lila's face crumpled, but only for a second before she straightened, her eyes hardening. You weren't supposed to see that, she said, her voice cold now, strict of pretense. It's not what you think. Then what is it? I shouted, the dam breaking. Because it looks like you've been lying to me for months. Lila, months. My hand shook as I gripped the phone, the words blurring through tears I hadn't realized were falling. I trusted you. I loved you. She flinched, but her voice stayed steady. You love the idea of me, Ben. You love the safe, perfect version you built in your head. But I'm not that. I'm messy, I'm human, and I needed more. Her words were a confession and a blade, slicing through the life we'd built. Evan, she admitted, was a photographer she'd met at the gallery. It started as a fling, a spot she couldn't ignore, but it grew into something she couldn't let go. She didn't apologize, not really, just stood there, defiant, as if a betrayal was my fault for not being enough. The air felt thinner now, each breath a struggle. I wanted to hate her, to scream, to break something, but all I felt was a hollow ache, like the ground had vanished beneath me. I thought of the mornings we'd spent tangled in bed, the nights we'd planned a future, the way her laughter had once felt like home. All of it was a lie, or worse, a half-truth she'd let me believe. I didn't yell again. I didn't beg. Instead, I set her phone down, walked to the closet, and pulled out my suitcase. Her eyes widened, but she didn't move. Ben, don't be dramatic, she said, her voice softer now, almost pleading. We can talk about this. There's nothing left to say, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. I packed in silence, each item a memory I was leaving behind. Her scarf, still on the couch, caught my eye, and I paused, my fingers brushing its frayed edge one last time. Then I zipped the suitcase shut. As I reached the door, I turned to her. You called me fragile, I said, my voice low, but I'm strong enough to walk away. Her mouth opened, but no words came. For the first time, she looked small, her defiance crumbling as a reality hit her. I wasn't coming back. I stepped into the cold night, the city's hum swallowing the sound of the door closing behind me. The note was still in my pocket, a weight I'd carry until I could let it go. Somewhere in the distance, a car horn blared, sharp and fleeting, like the life I'd just left behind.